At first, Riads in Fez just seemed beautiful. Hidden courtyards, carved doors, tiled walls, fountains, light falling from above. But the more time I spent inside them, the more I started asking a different question. Why do these homes feel so different from modern ones? Why does the air feel calmer? Why does the light feel gentler? Why does the space seem to slow you down? And the deeper I looked, the more I realized this was not just style. It was a different philosophy of home. In my previous video, I explored Riads as hidden worlds, homes that reveal almost nothing from the street and then suddenly open into beauty once the door gives way. But this time, I wanted to go deeper, not into the question of whether I could buy one, but into a more interesting question: what kind of life were these homes designed for? Because once you stop seeing a Riad as just a piece of heritage architecture, you begin to notice something more powerful. It was built to shape experience, not just shelter life, but guide it. One of the first things a Riad teaches you is that it turns away from the street and inward toward itself, and that matters. In many modern homes, the outer face is everything: street presence, windows outward, the idea of openness as a public statement. But here in Fez, the logic is different. The outside remains modest. The inside becomes the center of life. The courtyard is not an afterthought. It is the heart. That tells you something profound about the values behind the architecture. This is not a home designed around display. It is a home designed around protection, privacy, atmosphere, and inwardness. In other words, the house is not trying to impress the street. It is trying to serve the life inside it. What struck me most is how relevant this still feels, because many of us now live in homes that are bigger, brighter, more open, and more exposed, but not always calmer, not always wiser, not always more humane. And that's where a Riad begins to feel surprisingly modern in its intelligence. It reminds you that a home does not just have to function, it can also regulate mood, it can soften the day, it can hold stillness, it can create privacy without isolation, it can help daily life feel more centered. So this matters now because a Riad quietly asks a question many modern homes don't ask often enough. What kind of emotional life is this space making possible? Yeah, this is my room, my crib in this Riad. The sun is out today. It's looking amazing. Another thing that makes a Riad feel so different is the way it handles light. Instead of opening wide to the street, the house invites light from above, and the effect is subtle but powerful. The light feels filtered, controlled, gentle. It does not flood the space aggressively. It descends into it. That changes the emotional tone of the home. It makes the house feel protected but not closed, open but not exposed. And that balance matters, because here again, the architecture reveals a deeper logic. The goal is not maximum visibility. The goal is livable beauty. Riads also make sense as climate intelligence. In a place like Fez, where heat matters, architecture has to do more than look beautiful. It has to work. The inward courtyard allows air to move. The thick walls hold shade. The layout reduces harsh exposure. Water softens the atmosphere. None of this is accidental. It is a reminder that traditional architecture often solved environmental problems through form, proportion, material, and arrangement, not by adding technology afterward, but by building intelligence into the structure itself. And that changes how you see these homes. They are not only romantic, they are rational. Then there is water. In many Riads, even a small fountain changes the emotional register of the house. The sound is gentle, repetitive, cooling. It softens the silence without breaking it. And that is important because a Riad doesn't just organize rooms. It organizes atmosphere. It teaches you that comfort is not only physical, it is sensory. The sound of water, the movement of air, the filtered light, the sense of enclosure. Together, these things make the house feel less like a container and more like a mood. A Riad also reveals something important about hospitality, because this kind of home makes room for people. It creates a center where gathering can happen with dignity, not in a rushed or exposed way, but in a protected atmosphere where the home can receive others without surrendering its inner order. That matters because it shows that privacy and hospitality are not opposites here. They support one another. The home protects the family, but it can also welcome the guest. And that balance tells you something deeper about life in Fez. Beauty here is not only visual, it is relational. And then there is the rooftop, the final layer of the house. If the courtyard is the emotional heart of the Riad, the rooftop is its outward breath. Up here, the house reconnects to the wider city. The Medina opens out. The skyline appears. The inward life of the home meets the shared life of rooftops, birds, air, and horizon. And what I love about that is how complete the logic feels. The house protects you from the street below, gathers you inward, regulates light and air, shapes stillness, and then finally offers you the sky. So what does all this reveal about life? For me, It reveals that home in Fez was never just about housing the body. It was about shaping the rhythm of living. It was about protecting inner life, creating calm in the middle of density, balancing family and privacy, letting beauty serve atmosphere, letting architecture help produce dignity. And that changes how I see this place, because Fez stops being just a picturesque old city full of charming details. It becomes something more coherent, more intelligent, more humane, a place built around a deep understanding of what home can do to the way people feel and live. Maybe that is why Riads stay with people, not simply because they are beautiful, but because they remember something many modern homes have forgotten, that a house is not just where life happens. It can also shape the kind of life you are able to live. And once you see that, a Riad is no longer just a hidden home in Fez. It becomes a quiet lesson in how architecture can hold light, privacy, climate, family, stillness, and meaning all at once. And to me, that is what makes these homes feel so different. And once you understand how a Riad works, you start seeing the whole Medina differently too.